As you can see here on the map on the right-hand side, the Inca culture was all the way from Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, and the north part of Colombia. All these 6 countries were part of the Inca Trail. And we have over 40,000 kilometers of Inca trails. Since the pre-Inca's time, I just want to clarify that one more time. It's impossible to build this 45,000 Inca Trail network in only 300 years. That apparently was what the Incas were, right? So probably these Incas took these Inca Trails that were built before and they made them better, all right? As you can see here, the Inca culture started in the 1200s. The best time of the Inca culture was in the 15th century, the time of the Pachacutec Inca Yupanqui, where apparently Machu Picchu was built. And in 1493, it was when the civil war started between these 2 brothers. And finally, the Spanish arrived in 1532. As you can see, it was 300 years, but the best part of this culture was the last 100 years, from Pachacutec until here. Now, there is a project for several years when they were trying to rebuild and restore these Inca trails that we have all over South America. This project is called the Capajñan. And we're trying to restore these Inca trails that were from the pre-Incas and also the Incas. And we're going to talk a little bit about the classic Inca Trail, or nowadays what it is considered the commercial Inca Trail. Because remember, all these Inca Trail networks weren't the same. Some of them were for regular common people. Some of them were for the nobility to do this pilgrimage in order to go to Machu Picchu. Some of them were for animals. And today we're going to cover, which is considered the classic Inca Trail, very famous. And it was also part of the nobility Inca Trail, or the Capajñan road. Here is what we have about the Inca Trail. This is a picture from Gilbert Grosvenor from the National Geographic, apparently of what the Inca Trail covers. And in the right-hand side here, you can see this is the first day of the Inca Trail. The Professor Hiram Bingham, after arriving to Machu Picchu in 1911, July 24th, in 1915, he walked the Inca Trail backwards. So nowadays we start the Inca Trail from the kilometer 82. It's this part called Piscacucho. But Hiram Bingham did it backwards from Machu Picchu to the kilometer 82. When he saw certain archaeological sites on the road, he renamed those archaeological sites as the local people used to call them. But by the function they had for the local people, or they have for the local people even nowadays. Most of the names we're going to see today are not real. The names got lost in time. For the ones who have followed my presentation on Machu Picchu and also Machu Picchu 1 and 2, I want for you to see this path here. Where are those horses on the right-hand side? You can see this trail is not paved. Most of the Inca trails were paved with interlocked blocks of stone. What happened? Why we don't have this Inca Trail paved nowadays? Someone destroyed this path, and that's one of the reasons Machu Picchu was undiscovered. Machu Picchu was not touched by the Spanish, because the Incas destroyed this part of the Inca Trail the first day. And we found those rocks, those interlocked blocks of stone close to the river here. It's impossible to make restoration now because local people live on the first day. Right, but I just want for you to know that this is still part of the Inca Trail, what Hiram Bingham discovered in 1915. Sorry. We're going to talk about the Cosmovision on the Incas' time. Right? These are some of the archaeological sites. I want for you to know that when the Incas were doing this pilgrimage, they were walking close to the mountains, trying to do some reverence into their Inca Cosmovision to the mountains. This is why they built the Inca Trail around the mountain and following the shape of the mountain. As I explained today in Machu Picchu, these mountains were very, very important. And they tried to follow the important snow-capped mountains And they also used to bury the mountains, the dead people in very important mountains, and did sacrifices in very important mountains, like the kids of Yacoy, which is in Argentina, where they found the kid of the lightning. So basically, the mountains, part of the Pachamama, part of the Mother Earth, were really important to these native people, native to Peru. They used to do different pilgrimages. And nowadays, this is what we do. For instance, when we arrive to a very important archaeological site, this is Huayna, the third day of the campsite. And when I'm with people that actually can feel the power of the Mother Earth, they can feel the Inca Cosmovision and how these people respected the culture back in the time. You have to earn these kind of ceremonies, because if I have people that only come here because they want to take a selfie at Machu Picchu because it's trendy, I let them do that. But if they feel the connection with the Mother Earth, and as a guide, I learn to interpret what they want as customers. So we do these kind of ceremonies sometimes, all right? If they actually respect and try to enjoy the journey and not only the destination, which in this case is Machu Picchu. Is beautiful, but the journey should be the destination. So after you finish walking the Inca Trail, you have the feeling that you have learned something else, that you learn to take your time, you go step by step, and when you get back home, you actually can do that with your own life. Enjoy every single day, enjoy every single morning. It's not about getting to the destination really fast, but enjoying the journey. So after finishing the Inca Trail, you can do that as well, have a new respect for life. And if you do that, we can do a ceremony on the Inca Trail, just as I said, because some of the groups deserve to do that, right? Now we're going to talk about what the Inca Trail looks like today. First of all, we have different roads. The classic Inca Trail, which is 4 days, 26 miles, 42 kilometers. We have the short Inca Trail, which is only 12 kilometers. These two, the classic Inca Trail and the short Inca Trail, will arrive inside of Machu Picchu through the Sun Gate, right? Whereas the latest trek, Salcantay, and other treks to Machu Picchu, they will arrive to the town called Aguascalientes, or Machu Picchu town, where I'm at the moment. And then you have to take the bus up to Machu Picchu. So if you want to arrive inside of the place, you have to do either way, the classic Inca Trail or the short Inca Trail. What are the regulations? First of all, you have to come with a company that has the permit to come on the Inca Trail. We will have to book those permits in advance, and they go really, really fast in high season. For instance, if you want to hike in June, July, next year, you will have to book your permits in October, because in January or December or January, they open the permits, and then we have to purchase those permits for you. So you have to do it way in advance, because they go from one day to the next. 500 people on the Inca Trail, meaning 200 tourists and 300 of the camping crew, our porters. And also the guides who are going to take you to the Inca Trail, they need to have a specific training and permission, not only a tour guide license or an archaeology license. Every year, they will have to take a new course with the Ministry of Culture to get that license renewed every year. So as a guide, if I guide only the Sacred Valley, I can go on the Inca Trail. I have to have that permission, and that has to be renewed every year. And we are trained in first aid, responsibility on the Inca Trail. What are the things that we can and we can't do on the Inca Trail, all right? We also, some companies will provide duffel bags for you to put your personal belongings. In this case, in my company, Papis Treks, we don't charge extra money, but we will give you a duffel bag for you to put your personal things, and then you have to carry another backpack with your personal stuff during the day, like your passport, some snacks, and maybe some of your money, sunglasses, and bug spray, those kind of things, right? The Inca Trail is closed in February for maintenance, and also because it rains too much. So we have some landslides, and the Ministry of Culture is going to close the Inca Trail because they need to preserve the Inca Trail and also to protect you as well because it rains too much. Now, remember the word porters, we try not to use it nowadays. As you have, if some of you probably have been to the Himalayas, we have the Sherpas, right? That actually, that's not the name for the camping crew, because that's a last name in the Himalayas. Sherpa, it was a last name. Here we try to call these porters Chaskis. If you have been on the tour today, I have explained a little bit about the Chaskis. You can see here a picture of what a Chaski used to be. The Chaskis used to be the messengers, people who took information every 30 kilometers running, and they will be carrying this seashell to blow the seashell to let know the other Chaski waiting on the resting place that he was coming, so the other Chaski can be ready, so he will start running again after the other one delivered the message. All right. Now, here on the left-hand side, you can see a Chaski. He is not carrying only a seashell, because this is a representation after the conquistadors arrived. He also has a bell. This bell, he will be ringing the bell because he changed from the pututus, right? It's a little bit more, I don't know if advanced, but it changed a little bit from the Inca's time. What was the information these guys were carrying? These are the quipus that I'm pretty sure some of you remember when I explained. These quipus are from the Smithsonian, and you can see, the quipus from the Museum Machu Picchu, Casa Concha, a main rope up here, and other hanging ropes with knots for counting. So I said, with different colors for crops and population. But mainly the Chaskis used to blow these seashells. I want for you to listen to this. This is how it sounds. Some of you have been to my tours in Chinchero, the ancient textile technique, and you could see that the little kid on Chinchero was blowing the same seashell, right? Nowadays, it's just making sounds, but there are different types of seashells, and there are different sounds. So these kind of seashells probably had a different meaning back in the time. Every sound probably meant something to send different messages. And of course, these kind of sounds, as the quipus, were very important information that was owned only from the part of the nobility. Nowadays, we would like to call, instead of porters, we call our camping crew Chaskis. All right, so we call them Chaskis out of respect, because they feel that they are straight descendants from these runners from back in the time. I have explained already to all of you guys that follow my tours that we are Andeans. So we are much more related to the Chaski people than to the Inca nobility. And this job was also very important, as our camping crew from nowadays feel very proud of their language, of the job that they're doing. They are probably the more important part of the Inca Trail. Without them, we couldn't do anything. Probably you agree with me, right? Here on the bottom right-hand side, that's me giving a presentation. That's what we do on the first day of the Inca Trail. We try to make a presentation with the camping crew and our group of hikers, trying to explain how important is their job. As a company that we work in tourism, it's really important for the Chaskis, for the camping crew, to understand how important is their work and how grateful the hikers are to have them there. Because some of them are from very disadvantaged cultures. Most of them probably didn't have the chance to go to school, but at least in the company, we're trying to encourage these people to save some money and send their kids to school. And some of their kids, we know for a fact that they are going to the university. So the second or third generation of these Chaskis, probably their kids are gonna also become guides, which is really good, right? And it's our priority as well to have some of the guides from the local communities. And at least in the company, we have seven different groups of Chaskis, and people feel so grateful with these guys that sometimes they want to try the backpack with 25 kilos or 50 pounds, and they want to put them on. And they try 1-2 steps, but at 10,000 feet, 3,000 meters above sea level, she's taking five steps with that 25-kilo backpack. You know, you go out of breath really fast. And so these guys, sometimes we set out on the trail, and these Chaskis, they leave every place 45 minutes, 1 hour after we started, and they just run and they just pass you, arrive to every campsite, set up everything for you. So you feel like, actually, you feel like glamping is not camping, because when you get to every campsite, everything is ready for you. We have some, this is our camping crew. It was, I think, one of the last hikes I did. And it's great because our Chaskis, they have this nice t-shirt. In our t-shirt, it says, I make this look easy, which everyone wants to take pictures sometimes with our camping crew, because just by reading that, it makes you feel like, oh, these guys actually make everything look really easy, because they pass us running. Just amazing group of people, these guys. We want to talk about the climate of Peru as well, the reason why the Inca Trail is so important. When you go through the Inca Trail, on the first day, you see it's flat, a little bit high up, you will go a little bit up, but the reason why we have different microclimates in Peru is because of the three different, very marked altitudes we have in Peru. We have the jungle here in the green area, and it's very rainy, it's the rain forest. And then we have the high mountain range, the Andean mountain range that goes so tall, and it doesn't for the clouds from the rainforest to go to the coast. This is the reason close to the ocean, we have one of the driest deserts as well. And these three zones, very marked, make for the Inca Trail to be so different, right? So when you walk in the Inca Trail from the first day to the second day, you're going to see a lot of different, and on the third day as well, the high jungle cloud forest is sometimes very dry. And here, walking the Inca Trail, we're gonna go of how do we start the Inca Trail. Okay, first of all, we have to start in Cusco City. We will drive for 1.5 hours until Ollantaytambo. Then from Ollantaytambo, we will go another 45 minutes to the beginning of the Inca Trail. This is Ollantaytambo on the left-hand side, an archaeological site. So basically, it takes us between 2 hours 15, 2.5 hours until we get from Cusco to the beginning of the Inca Trail. In our company, though, we stay and we sleep in Ollantaytambo, so we don't have to set up really early. Most of the companies will start in Cusco City. So they pick you up from your hotel around 5:30 in the morning and drive for 2.5 hours until the beginning of the hike. But we stay in Ollantaytambo and only drive for 45 minutes, so we don't have to wake up that early, all right? Now, the Inca Trail, this is what you have to expect on the Inca Trail. The first day we call the training day because it's not much gain in elevation. You only gain 100 meters or 300 feet on the first day, and then you will sleep after 10 kilometers of hiking, roughly. The second day, most of the people call the challenging day because here you ascend 1,200 meters until Dead Woman's Pass. No worries, don't worry, because you're not gonna die here. There's not a reason for the people that call Dead Woman's Pass. No one died here, but when you walk down the summit, if you look back here, there is a face. It seems like a face of a person, the profile of a person. And when Hiram Bingham started from Machu Picchu, he saw that face. Local people call Dead Woman's Pass or Waramiwanyuska to this area. That's why we still call Dead Woman's Pass, which is just the translation to the native language of Dead Woman's Pass. All right, so today people call it the challenging day. We climb 1,200 meters and then we go down for 600 meters. We sleep here at 3,600, which is 300 meters higher than Cusco or 1,000 feet. In my opinion, the third day is the most complicated. Why? We hike 16 kilometers, but after being tired for the second day, you go up again, steeper than the second day. You hike up only 300 meters, but then it's a lot of down, a little bit up again, and then We go here from 3,700 to 2,700 here. So it's a lot of down, and your knees and your back is tired probably. So I call the third day the most complicated day. A lot of people agree with me, even though that is a lot of downhill, but it's up and down, up and down. And from the second day, we have a lot of steps. So you make sure if you hike the Inca Trail to bring your own walking poles or to hire walking poles in the company that you're coming with, because it's going to help a lot with the stability on the way down and on the way up as well. On the first day, we have 2 archaeological sites that we will visit. Second day, it's mainly trekking. And the third day, we're going to have 4 archaeological sites. In total, 6 archaeological sites. We will have a lot of explanation and finish all that once we get here to Machu Picchu. Okay. The third day, it's going to be the day that we're going to say goodbye to our camping crew by providing some tips if you guys want to. I collect that money and we split it equally between the whole camping crew. Sometimes a little bit more to the chef, sometimes a little bit more to the sous chef. We have a toilet man and the rest of the camping crew. So it's just the decision of the guide asking to the hikers how they would like to split the money. If they want to do it equally, that's fine. But in our opinion, sometimes they are jobs that are probably more important because they work a little bit more than the rest, right? And then the fourth day is also quite hard because the wake-up call is at 3:30 in the morning. And they open the gate at 5:30. So the question is, Mike, what if they open the gate at 5:30, why do wake up at 3:30 in the morning? Because the train that the camping crew goes back to Cusco with all the gear is at 5:30 in the morning. So 3:30 wake-up call, 4 a.m. our breakfast, and then the camping crew runs, they take a shortcut to arrive to the town and catch their train. Mike, why they don't give them a later train? Because this is a private company. The train company is a private company from Chile and also from England, all right? So they set up the times, they set up the train times, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? We hike 1.5 hours on the last day and finally arrive to Machu Picchu. This is the Inca Trail overview. And now, first day, this is, you can take a picture actually here. We're gonna walk from 2,900 to 3,000 meters. As I said, only 100 meters in elevation. You can take a few pictures here. Very famous here, Inca Trail as a souvenir. And you can see in front of you, this is the first bridge we cross. And that uphill over here is what the first part we have to walk. Normally, I let them do their own pace so we can see how is the breathing on the first part, even though it's 2,900 meters, some people are out of breath. So the recommendation is to stay in Cusco for a couple of days before we start the Inca Trail. I have seen some people that arrive one night and they go to the Inca Trail the next day. That's not a good recommendation, right? First of all, you have to get adjusted to the elevation. The Inca Trail itself, we are going to cross this bridge and then start hiking. These are some of the views you have on the first day of the Inca Trail. And something very, very important. Before we start the Inca Trail, I normally will tell my hikers that we have to be very careful on the first day of the Inca Trail because the first campsite is also the last village we will see along the Inca Trail. For instance, you will see along the way some donkeys, some horses, sometimes mules, even motorcycles, going from the beginning of the Inca Trail to the first campsite, because as I said, it's the last village we have on the Inca Trail. So we'll have some stores, we will have some actually toilets that you have to pay a coin to use those toilets, otherwise you can just do it on the bushes. So you have to walk always on the mountainside, all right? So sometimes I'm walking in front of the group, some other times I'm walking in the back. If my assistant guide or I will say, mountainside, you have to go to the mountainside. Don't go on the cliff side. Why? Some of the horses, donkeys, cows sometimes can push you off, and then it's going to be bye-bye hiker, right? And also our Chaskis, the camping crew, they run really fast with the big backpacks. Imagine if you are on the cliffside, they just touch you with the big backpack that is heavy and you will fall off the cliff. So always, if the path is narrow, take the mountainside and stop. If the path is wide, take the mountainside and keep walking, but always the mountainside. You can walk in the middle, but if someone will say mountainside, you automatically go on the mountainside. Some of the views you have on the first day, this is the Urubamba River, and here the beautiful Veronica Mountain that is located at 5,600 meters above sea level. What is that? 17,000 feet, beautiful snow-capped mountain. Nowadays it's called Veronica, but back in the time it was called Huacaywilca, which means sacred tears. Most of the people on the Sacred Valley are farmers. So these glaciers have some streams running down, and that's why they call them the sacred tears of the mountain, or Huacaywilca. When you're walking on the first day of the Inca Trail, it's not about head down and walk, walk, walk. You're walking and you take your time to look around, and you're going to find beautiful surprises. Sometimes that mountain, it's cloudy, but you just turn around and you have that beautiful view, totally worth it to go. The slower you go on the Inca Trail, the better. The biodiversity on the first day of the Inca Trail, we're going to find a lot of hummingbirds. We're going to find here on the right-hand side, on this picture, you can see the prickly pear. And I do the demonstration of how we sacrifice the cochineal here, what you have seen on the on Chinchero. And we're going to find also different trees that have a lot of vitamin C, a lot of bromelias, different hummingbirds, and also the chamomile and retama trees on the first day, right? It's not too humid. That's why we're going to have a lot of hummingbirds here. The main pollinators for most of the flowers and orchids on the Inca Trail are these hummingbirds. That is the only bird that can fly backwards, actually. They move their wings 80 to 100 times per second. Okay, and then we will see the first archaeological site, which is Patallacta or Llactapata. Here is close to the river, and this area was very important because where I'm moving right now, this is north, and of course here will be south, all right? But in this area, they found crops that belong to the north and also to the south. Coca leaves, quinoa, corn, potatoes. So in this area, probably they were doing exchange of products. Also here, you can see a clear example of what we always talk, the organic construction. Look how this construction of Llactapata is part of the mountain. You can see that they didn't chop the mountain, they just follow the orographic of the mountain here, and they also follow the shape of the river. How amazing was this culture, guys, respecting every single part of nature. Now I want to show you, this is a map, a Google map of where we are on the first day and an idea of how it looks from above. Right, that's Llactapata. I'm going to stop this for a minute. We will see this archaeological site from up here. And then we're going to continue going around the mountain. If you follow the river, here is where the railway is. If we follow the river, we arrive to Machu Picchu in 8 hours walking. But no, what are we going to do? What the Incas used to do. We're going to follow the mountains, following the shape of the mountains until we arrive to the sacred city. So here is where we see the archaeological, from where we see the archaeological site, and then we will continue going to that area. Okay. We have some llamas, sometimes put by the Ministry of Culture on the archaeological site as well. And after hiking that part of Llactapata, we're going to walk for maybe 45 minutes until we get to lunch. And when we get to lunch, then we're gonna have another hour and a half until we arrive to the campsite. I just wanted to show you the 3 campsites because we do pretty much the same thing on the campsites. On the first day, it's a private campsite. So we sleep on a private campsite. Each company in the campsite they provide us, it depends on the amount of people we will have. Let's say that I will have 16 people. They're going to give me a bigger campsite because we need more tents. We have the kitchen tent. We have the toilet tent. We need a bigger campsite. From the second day, we are going to share campsites. One terrace for one group, another terrace that is bigger probably for 2 groups. So we share campsites on the second day. The first picture on the left-hand side here is the 3rd campsite on a different itinerary, which the Inca Trail we do in 5 days to stay a little bit longer on the Inca Trail. We split the 3rd day of the Inca Trail in 2, 8 kilometers in the morning, 8 kilometers the next day, because from here, you can see the Machu Picchu mountain and the whole valley. The pictures from this campsite is awesome. Actually, those are our tents. We have 2 groups that day. And with some other companies, we are the only ones who are doing this kind of itinerary because we think it's better. What is the difference between the regular itinerary? Normally, we do the Inca Trail 4 days, wake up really early at 3:30, arrive to Machu Picchu, have the tour on the 4th day, go back to Cusco. On this itinerary of 5 days, we do 3 days of hiking. 4th day, we arrive to Machu Picchu in the afternoon. We go down, sleep in a hotel, take a nice shower. On the 5th day, we go back to Machu Picchu and listen to the explanation more easygoing, and you're fresh, you took a shower, you have much more time. So that means you visit Machu Picchu twice. So we do 4 days and 5 days, okay? So in the campsites is where all our camping crew are gonna set up the tents and cook our meals. Every time when you leave the campsite, the camping crew do that. And by the time you arrive to lunch into the campsite, everything will be ready and you just arrive there to sleep. Here you have our camping crew. When we hike, we have chefs, we have sous chefs, we have a toilet man, we have people who set up the tents. They have different jobs, right? So in the company, we have a every year, our chefs and our camping crew, they get trained by specialized people about the food you need on the Inca Trail. You need a lot of carbs, but also you need balance between vegetables and also protein. So that's what we provide, right? Sometimes at breakfast, we will give you porridge and a cup of coffee. Sometimes we give you just carbs. At lunch, we'll have a main course, a soup, and then different main courses, so you can choose. And at dinner, we will have also sometimes a soup and a main course. As you can see here, we have some avocado and cookies. This is ceviche, the marinated fish and fried rice. Sometimes the guys go a little bit artistic and they're going to make some figures with the napkins, and everything is very, very clean. That's very important to us for you not to have any problem while you're hiking the Inca Trail, right? The second day, guys, the most complicated day here, we go pole, as they say, when you're hiking the mountain Kilimanjaro in Africa. We go really slow, all right? We have to climb 1,200 meters. And this is an idea. This is the Pacaimayo Valley of what we hike. Here in the middle is Dead Woman's Pass. So we go up 1,200 meters and we go down 600 meters and sleep here. But I want for you to have an idea of what we do. Oh. Sorry. Of what we have here on this area, if you can see the little hand, there's a very bushy area because we have these 2 valleys, these 2 mountain ranges, and the river running under here next to this part, and it gets very humid. So even though that we're going from 3,000 meters to 4,200, this area is very green. Look what we have here. This part actually looks like the Lord of the Rings. We're going through some staircases here, but it's very, very humid because of the river that is on the right-hand side. And we can find a lot of bromelias, we can find fuchsias, we can find some orchids. And also on the top of the Dead Woman's Pass, we're gonna find this bird. It's very common. It's the Andean caracara or the mountain caracara. That sound you heard at the very beginning is the sound he makes. Here, this part, in my opinion, from the campsite until lunch, you climb 700 meters. And in my opinion, is the most complicated part, because from launch until Dead Woman's Pass is only 400 meters that you have to climb, and but it's less oxygen, right? That's the most difficult part. This is the river that I was talking about, and it's quite humid, as I said. Sometimes, let's say that I have 16 people, right? And some people, even though that I'm going to tell them, it's not good for you to go too fast, enjoy the journey, take as many pictures as you want to, we're gonna go slow. Some people decide to go in front. But the way we work, and the people who work with us in the company, they have been trained to do something. You have to make your itinerary and your hiking plan based on the slower person, the weakest one, if you want to. That is why on the second day, most of the times I go in the back. And if we have different speeds, that's why we have 2 or 3 guides. And also, all of the guides are carrying an oxygen tank. This is one of the times when someone got quite sick on the way down, and we have to give her oxygen. And sometimes, if the people are sick on the first day, the only way will be to send them back. Once you pass Dead Woman's Pass and you go down, you just have to continue, because it's easier to go out by following the road until Machu Picchu than climb that mountain up and down again. Sometimes people get sick. This is not very regularly, because in the company, we check with the doctor, what are your conditions? We request to the people to go to a travel doctor. Let's say, what is the, one time this happened to me, this person had thalassemia minor, which basically is a disease that you don't have enough red blood cells, and you shouldn't be over 1,500 meters above sea level. Even like that, they didn't tell us. So that person got really, really sick. So we have to evacuate that person. So we don't need no heroes on the Inca Trail. The only thing we request for you to do, visit a travel doctor. Is it doable? Yes. The oldest person I took to the Inca Trail, he was 82 years old, because this is not a competition. As a company, we go really, really slow. And that's what our guys are trained for. And all of them are trained on first aid, all right? But if this person can walk, how do we take them out? Is there a helicopter? Only in one place of the Inca Trail. Only one time with another company a long time ago, they have to evacuate someone on a helicopter, but it was because he slept. He was walking and he tripped, and I think he injured his leg, so he couldn't walk anymore. But what is the other way to take the people out? With our Chaskis. It's been a few times when I carry people, and the Chaskis as well carry people. But this is because sometimes people don't want to listen. So if you are doing any kind of hike, you follow what your guide is going to tell you. Guys, slow down, or you wait for us over there, and that's what you have to do. The slower, the better. And we have to work as a team, all right? And we have to try to go together. But sometimes you go on the Inca Trail and you see people that are walking on their own. This is not the way on Papi's treks, right? So we try to set up our trail to take care of everyone, but you have to help us to do the same thing. Well, this is the summit of the Inca Trail, Dead Woman's Pass. I make this look easy. This is Julio Conde, our chef, and Guerra, our sous chef. This is the Boland family, long time ago. And then we go to the campsite on the second day, and you already know what happens, right? We arrive to the campsite. We're going to give you some time for you to freshen up, provide some water for you to wash your faces, go to the toilet. We give you tea time, and then we give you dinner, and then you go to bed. Pretty much the same thing in every campsite. Yeah, this is the descent that we go. Sorry. After Dead Woman's Pass, this is what we have to hike. 300 meters down until the campsite. Everything is steps. So we have to be careful. Sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's quite complicated to go down. Most of the injuries that I've seen on the Inca Trail from other companies is because they weren't listening to their guide and they were going too fast on the way down. Sometimes it can get cold on the Inca Trail, but the cold is not going to kill you, right? But whereas if your hands are really cold and you want to get really fast to the Inca Trail, you can trip. And that's not the way. So what do? I send the assistant guide always in front and I go in the back. And this is a command, very serious command. No one goes in front of the assistant guide. Sometimes people get mad, but my job is to start the Inca Trail with you. And my job is not to finish the Inca Trail with you, because if you can't do it, you just can't do it, but it's to keep you safe. So you have to follow the instructions. Don't go in front of the guide. Don't put your hands in your pocket. Try to rent walking sticks because it helps. 60% of your body weight goes on the walking poles. Don't use the straps while you're walking down, because if you trip, you have to release the pole and use your hands. But if you're holding the straps, you can hit your face sometimes, or you can just break your wrist. That's why you don't hold the straps on the Inca Trail, right? The way down, you have to be very, very focused. And this is the day 3. In my opinion, the unforgettable day, because we have a lot of Inca Trails that I won't have the time to explain today, because it's been already 50 minutes. But we have Runcurakai. So how this day goes, steeper than the second day. We hike 300 meters, 1,000 feet up. We get to the top. We regroup here. I set up certain places with my assistant guides to stop and to regroup, just to keep everyone safe. Of course, we communicate with radios. Halfway to the mountain, we have an archaeological site, Runcurakai. Then we go down, Phuyupatamarca, another beautiful archaeological site. The picture that I was at the very beginning, that's Phuyupatamarca, and that's already looking to the cloud forest high jungle. And then we go here to Phuyupatamarca, the cloudy place, and then we go down for 2.5 hours until Wiñayhuayna campsite, where it's also an archaeological site. So today we have 4 archaeological sites. This is an idea of what you have on the third day. The views we have on the third day are just amazing, guys. As I said, this is the unforgettable day for me. Oh, it's not, the internet is probably slow, sorry. It says there's an error. 1 minute, please. Why is this video not playing? What's going on? All right, I think we have it now. That's Phuyupatamarca archaeological site. So you can see here, cloud forest, already a lot of vegetation. Some llamas sometimes, again, put by the Ministry of Culture on the Inca Trail. You can take pictures with llamas. Original Inca Trail, right? With interlock blocks of stone, some tunnels that we cross, which is magnificent. Look that beautiful. See, the way down sometimes is quite steep. Have a look to this staircase on the way down. Sometimes can get quite steep, right? So that's why you need really good walking poles, and you make them longer. I'm waiting here for one of the people to just help them, because this day was raining. And here in the middle, this is going to Phuyupatamarca. I remember that day being really, really tired because I couldn't sleep the night before. And that was one of the days when someone took a picture of me and said, "Mike, do you want to choose some coca leaves? You seem cranky." I was really tired because I was wet. I gave my rain poncho to someone, and I was completely wet and quite cranky as well. This is on the third day already arriving to the campsite, the Urubamba River. This magnificent view is from an archaeological site called Intipata, or the place of the sun. Guys, when you arrive to this part and you look at these views, it's just, you feel tiny. You feel like I'm really tiny. I should actually embrace this and try to live in harmony with nature, because there is no way human beings own all this beautiful nature. It's just, you surrender to this beauty. And of course, these pictures don't make any justice. What is the kind of biodiversity we find on the second day? This is spider bamboo, for instance, native bamboo is more, a lot of orchids here. And sometimes we can see, the spectacled bear, right? The Andean bear, which is in South America, but the proper area is here. What we can see, you can see some of these orchids. This is one of my favorites, called Masdevallia briciana is the name of this orchid, or the native name is Wakanki. And this one here is called Sobralia dicotoma, or Azucena del Monte. And this is the most common orchid you can see all year round, called Wiñayhuayna, or Forever Young. The honeybee orchid as well, that can be found only 1 month along the Inca Trail. And the spectacled bear. This is a bird. This is not a picture of me. This is from a friend. Hold on. This is my video, actually, but it was quite weird, because the spectacled bears normally live in the cloud forest, but this video of me is on the way to Dead Woman's Pass. So on the second day, we call the spectacled bear because he has 2 white spots around his eyes. And people think he's a vegetarian, but I know for a fact that this guy is, look, he was, I was chasing the bear. Here. I actually walked like maybe 45 minutes to get with the guy I was, and then he started climbing really fast. I saw a bear one time dragging a deer up the hill, so he can eat vegetables, orchids, bromeliads, but also deer sometimes. Well, some of the archaeological sites, we went a little bit ahead here. Phuyupatamarca, this is literally, guys, like a castle in the middle of the mountains. When you walk in this part, you just go here and feel like you're in an Inca castle. 100% original, not a restoration at all. Well, no reconstruction, but certain restorations here. A place where the people used to do some rituals for the Inti Raimi, and also only for priests and priestesses. Maybe 20 to 30 people were living in this area. And you can see here how the Incas, well, not right now, but the Incas had some water fountains, and also they used the spider bamboo in order to make water canals in this area. This part, where I told you that I was sitting there quite cranky, here I'm a little bit more happy. This staircase is not original, guys. This was built by the government to let the tourists to go up here. The proper Inca Trail is behind this area, but it's all covered by the vegetation. The Ministry of Culture don't want to clean up that part, because some people might be pathfinders and try to go on that area, and the Inca Trail could collapse. So at least this part is not original on the Inca Trail. Here we have the Phuyupatamarca archaeological site on the third day, where I told you I prefer to stay to make this Inca Trail 5 days. This is an altar that overlooks the Machu Picchu mountain. Sorry. I hope you can see where the arrow is. This mountain is the Machu Picchu mountain. So from Phuyupatamarca on the third day, you can see the Machu Picchu mountain, but not the archaeological site. Why? Because this is 3,100 and Machu Picchu is 2,400. So the archaeological site is around, but behind this mountain. We have to walk from here, starts the way down, around 2.5 hours. And on the fourth day, we have to walk in the middle of the Machu Picchu mountain until we get to the sun gate. Phuyupatamarca means the cloudy, or the town over the clouds. And when you're walking there, actually, you understand why. In the afternoon, it's very cloudy. You can't see probably 2 or 3 meters in front of you. Right now, it was the middle of the day. That's why you can look at it like that. And after 2.5 hours, we arrived to Huayna, the same name of the orchid, forever young. Hiram Bingham discovered the Inca Trail in 1915 backwards, but he missed this place. In 1943, another professor by the name of Paul Fejos, he discovered the short Inca Trail. You can see right now, but it's in the middle of the vegetation, that's your Inca Trail. What do? You take the train, you take the train to the kilometer, from Ollantaytambo to the kilometer 104, hike for roughly 3.5 hours, and you arrive to Huayna, following the short Inca Trail. You visit this area, which in my opinion, before Machu Picchu, is the most amazing archaeological site. You can see how the Incas built these terraces here in a concave way, following the shape of the mountain. And these constructions were probably for important ladies, maybe for the chosen woman before they go to Machu Picchu. They will follow the short Inca Trail, stay here, and they go to Machu Picchu. We have 10 important water fountains here. They canalize the water from a natural spring and also from the waterfall we have in this section. And this was the urban area where the Virgins of the Sun used to sleep. And in the upper part, we have the Temple of the Rainbow. At the beginning, we had this ceremony, that heart made of made of some flowers, and that's what we do here in this semicircular construction. We have 7 windows that represent the 7 colors of the rainbow. Sometimes we make some ceremonies here in this area. Sorry. This is a map of what we did. And choose the location of where we're going to go. I have this wrong. This is where Machu Picchu is located, all right? Okay, the third day, remember, I told you that we're going to say goodbye to our camping crew, saying thank you so much to our camping crew. We're going to provide some money. At the beginning on the briefing, your guide will explain how much money is recommended to tip our guides, our camping crew. And we wake up on the 4th day at 3:30 in the morning. This is the classic Inca Trail, not the 5-1 I was telling you. 3:30 in the morning. You have to be out of your tent by 4 a.m. and the camping crew are going to just pack everything really fast. We give you just a cup of coffee because 4 a.m. is not time for breakfast. And we provide a box lunch or just a snack, right? For you to eat later on after we visit this amazing place, Machu Picchu. And then we have to go to the Ministry of Culture. This place is the last part of the Ministry of Culture before we go to Machu Picchu. As I said, they open at 5:30. Today, we're going to do the last 5 kilometers walking in roughly 1 hour. 1.5 hours. The elevation of this campsite is 2,700. And the sun gate is 2,720. So the last day, we're going to climb only 20 meters up. However, it's rolling, right? Up and down, some downs quite steep, some ups, but easier than the other days. But because you're tired and you woke up at 3:30 in the morning, sometimes you find that challenging, all right? So we will deliver the documents as a guide. I will sign some papers. You don't need to show your passports or anything, but these people will count on your documents. You have the name of the guide, the amount of people you have, and they have to count. Okay, 16 people, sign the document and start walking the last part until Machu Picchu. 10 minutes before we get to Machu Picchu, I think I'm laughing there. That's another hike. We have, oh, sorry. We have these 53 very inclined steps that we call monkey steps or the Spider-Man steps, right? We go down, guides collect the walking poles and we let you use your hands. Why? If you're using the walking poles, it's so steep that you might go back, right? So it's better if you use your hands and you walk leaning forward. Okay, 53 steps that we call the Gringo Killer, which is a long time ago, the older guides called that part the Gringo Killer. And until nowadays, we call it like that, right? After we get there, those 53 steps, we have 10 more minutes. And finally, we arrive to the sun gate. This is the sun gate. This lady over here, actually, she had a problem. And when she arrived to the sun gate, she was so happy that she started crying because it was this Inca Trail on her bucket list for like 25 years. And when finally did it, she was really happy, but she had some problems on her back. This is the one picture from the sun gate. This is the view you get of Machu Picchu from the sun gate. And Machu Picchu is 45 minutes from the sun gate. All right, so we arrived to the sun gate. A lot of people are very emotional and people are sometimes in tears. Sometimes people are happy because this was on their bucket list. And sometimes people can propose in front of, how many people do we have here? Sometimes 200 people. Not the camping crew anymore, only the hikers, right? This is something that happened to me once. One guy on the third day, he told me that he wanted to propose to his girlfriend. And I said, all right, we're gonna organize everything. And we arrived to Sun Gate and I asked the lady, hey, I'm gonna take pictures of you while the guy was getting ready to propose. And finally she turned around, the guy on his knees, he was like, you are the love of my life. And he gave a 5-minute speech, which is a lot when you're proposing, in my opinion. And a lot of people were watching, right? So he's like, I love you. And people are like, oh my God, he's proposing, he's proposing. And the lady, she just covered her eyes and she said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And she turned around and she started walking down to Machu Picchu. So in front of 200 people, she said no after he proposed. Of course, I was embarrassed because I set it up, everything, but it wasn't my fault. I think the guy should have known better. You're not going to propose not knowing that probably someone is going to say no, right? This is a video of the sun gate, or on the way of the sun to the sun gate. You see it's quite dark. And that's finally arriving to the sun gate. It's very short in Machu Picchu. This was actually June 21st, guys. Look how the sun here is shining and going to Machu Picchu to the Temple of the Sun. That's a beautiful show. And finally, after 45 minutes, you arrive to Machu Picchu and you get this certification, right? We'll give you this, this is to certify that we'll put your name here, that you have survived the Women's Pass, 14,000 feet above sea level, and successfully completed 42 kilometers today in the Inca Trail of Machu Picchu in one piece, yeah? And I will sign your document if I'm going to be your guide. I want to leave you with this poem from Pablo Neruda about Machu Picchu if you want to read it on your own. Very mystic Machu Picchu. Sometimes you can look Machu Picchu and with the clouds, it's different. When it's clear, it's different. It's just a magnificent place that after so many years of guiding, more than 20 years and 500 times of Inca Trail, 1,000 times of being a Machu Picchu, it's still, I have the feeling that it's still strange and something that we need to discover. Right, that poem talks about how important Machu Picchu is and Mother Earth and the connection that people can feel when they're doing the Inca Trail. If I would have explained every archaeological site, I will have to use 3 hours to do this presentation. So this is just a general information of what you can expect on the Inca Trail. And I will be really, really happy to have you here, leading you or just organizing your tours here in Peru. All right, thank you so much for being here on this explanation. And now I'm ready for your questions.